The latest news from the Emirates Stadium is that Arsenal have reportedly dispatched their chief scout to Portugal to run the rule over a 21-year-old wonderkid. We'll be discussing all the details of this story later in the video. But first up, let's get into the world of fantasy football, where you can pick your favorite players from your favorite teams and compete against friends and family. Now back to the world of football, and according to a recent report, Arsenal is transfer supremo Andrea Berta has sent the club's chief scout to watch Sporting CP defender Ousmane Diomande in person. The Gunners are all set to be busy in the upcoming summer transfer window as Mikel Arteta looks to bolster the squad following another trophyless campaign in which the team reached the Champions League semi-finals and are on course to finish as Premier League runners-up for a third consecutive season. Well, attacking reinforcements are believed to be the top priority. Arsenal are also looking to add to their defence with some departures also expected, and Diomande has now emerged as a target. Arsenal watch Diomande in person. The 21-year-old has an €80 million release clause. The Gunners are considered to be among the front-runners to sign Bournemouth sensation Dean Huijsen this summer, but they face big competition from the likes of Liverpool and Real Madrid for the Spaniard. That has left the club also making contingency plans for alternative targets. And Sporting star Diomande has emerged as a player that Bertie is keen on pursuing. So much so that the head of recruitment, James Ellis, sent a host of scouts to Lisbon to watch him in person during the derby game against Benfica this past weekend. Diomande, who has been described as an absolute freak by analyst Jack Fawcett, started in the middle of a back three as the teams battled to a 1-1 draw. And according to the aforementioned report, Arsenal's chief scout was in attendance. The Ivory Coast U23 international has impressed greatly this season, helping the Lions to the top of the Primera Liga table, although they were held to a 1-1 draw by Benfica at the weekend. As a result, Sporting remain level on points with their arch rivals, with just one game remaining, which will be against bottom side Portimonense. Sporting CP's Ousmane Diomande has emerged as a surprise contender for Arsenal this summer, and here is why. While there's no doubting the quality of the Gunners' current defensive unit, injuries and suspensions have forced Arteta to rotate his backline this term. With Jurrien Timber set to miss the majority of next season after undergoing knee surgery, the North Londoners will likely be on the lookout for a new centre-back. Gabriel has often been criticised for failing to live up to expectations since his arrival from Lille in 2020, and although he enjoyed a solid campaign in 2022-23, questions still remain over his long-term future at the club. Rob Holding's contract expires in June, and unless he signs a new deal, he will leave the Emirates Stadium on a free transfer. Meanwhile, the futures of Kieran Tierney and Nuno Tavares remain uncertain as they are currently out on loan. Although Arsenal are considered to be among the front-runners to sign Bournemouth sensation Deontay Huijsen this summer, they face big competition from the likes of Liverpool and Real Madrid for the Spaniard. That has left the club also making contingency plans for alternative targets, and Sporting star Diomande has now emerged as a player that Bertie is keen on pursuing. So much so that the head of recruitment, James Ellis, sent a host of scouts to Lisbon to watch him in person during the derby game against Benfica this past weekend. Diomande, who has been described as an absolute freak by analyst Jack Fawcett, started in the middle of a back three as the teams battled to a 1-1 draw. And according to the aforementioned report, Arsenal's chief scout was in attendance. The Ivory Coast U23 international has impressed greatly this season, helping the Lions to the top of the Primera Liga table, although they were held to a 1-1 draw by Benfica at the weekend. Nonetheless, Sporting's defensive unit deserves praise as they have conceded just 27 goals in 33 league games this term. But what has Diomande and his teammate Rafael Leao have in common? Well, both players are represented by super agent Jorge Mendes and could potentially be on the move this summer. The 21-year-old has an €80 million release clause in his contract with Sporting, but Arsenal would be confident in securing a deal for less than that, although it would still take big money to convince Sporting to part with another star. Let me know if you think Arsenal should try to sign Diomande, or are you happy with our current defense? I'd love to hear your thoughts. The 21-year-old is capable of playing as a centre-back or right-back. Having made 39 appearances across all competitions this season, he is yet to represent the Elephants of Ivory Coast at senior level, but he was part of their squad for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. Ivorian has an 80 meters release clause. Sporting CP boss Ruben Amorim spoke glowingly of Diomande following his side's 2-1 win over Braga in February, saying via record, "We are very happy with Diomande. He came from a difficult championship in France. He is a boy who works hard, listens, trains well, and plays well." The Gunners' pursuit of a new defender could depend on whether they manage to secure Champions League football for next season. They are currently 8 points adrift of second-placed Manchester City, albeit having played 2 games more, and will need to win their remaining fixtures to stand any chance of finishing as runners-up. Should they fall out of the top 4, though, it would trigger a £100 million release clause in Højlund's contract, meaning the Dane would only be attainable for the clubs with the deepest pockets. According to Transfermarkt, Arsenal are currently the 5th best supported club in the world based on average attendance over the past 5 seasons. Only Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, and Manchester United have attracted larger crowds. Therefore, even if the Gunners do miss out on Champions League football, they could still persuade potential new signings that the Emirates Stadium is a big enough stage for them. Should Arsenal bring in another centre-back this summer? The 21-year-old joined Sporting from French side Le Havre in August 2023 and penned a 5-year contract. And according to Portuguese outlet Bola, the 6'2" ace underwent a medical ahead of his switch to the Emirates Stadium last summer, but decided to stay in Lisbon instead. In an interview with Radio Sport in October, Diomande admitted that he was flattered by interest from some of Europe's biggest clubs, but insisted that he was happy at Sporting. He said, "It makes me proud to hear these teams are interested in me. It means I am doing well, but I am focused on Sporting. I am happy here, and I have a contract until 2027. Let me know if you think Arsenal should make a bid for Diomande, or are you happy with our current defense? If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified when we upload a new video. You can also check out our other videos on the screen. Thank you for watching